In the year 56 AC, our favorite Black Dread came home bleeding. Not from one wound, from multiple wounds, layered, some old and some new. One of them was still smoking when he landed, and whatever did that to him is still out there. Balerion the Black Dread had ended dynasties. He had melted castles until they ran like candle wax. He had stood beside Vhagar and Meraxes on the field of fire and broken the largest army Westeros had ever fielded. He had killed Quicksilver in the air above the God's Eye and barely slowed down to do it. He had never bled like this, and the thing that made him bleed never followed him out. We know where he went. What we don't know, what no maester, no septon, no king has ever been able to answer, is what was waiting for him in those ruins, why he flew there at all, and why something there decided to make him remember it. This is the Black Dread. Subscribe if you would ride a frost dragon. Why he needed to go back to Valyria, we'll never know. The story they tell at court is the clean one. Princess Aeria Targaryen, 11 years old, slipped out of Dragonstone and stole the Black Dread out from under her mother. A year passed. More than a year. Then, on a clear day in 56 AC, Balerion appeared in the sky above King's Landing, descended into the courtyard of the Red Keep, and dropped a girl who was already dying. Septon Barth was there. He didn't write about the girl first. He wrote about the dragon. A jagged rent down Balerion's left side, almost 9 feet long. A gaping red wound, fresh blood still dripping from it, hot and smoking. And under that fresh wound, half-healed scars, no man at court could remember a creature ever leaving on him before. Plural. Whatever wounded the Black Dread didn't wound him once. It wounded him over time, different fights, different days, and then, when it was done, it let him leave. The maps go vague east of the smoking sea for a reason. Any ship that comes within sight of the 14 fires is never heard from again. Sailors who pass too close speak of black water, deformed shapes in the foam, and a heat that does not fade with distance. Even the boldest corsairs will not anchor on the Valyrian coast, not for any sum. Whatever survived the doom learned to survive it, and Balerion, alone in the world, knew the place. He had been hatched there. He was one of the 5 dragons Lord Enar Targaryen carried to Dragonstone 12 years before the 14 flames opened beneath Valyria and ended the world that bred him. Of those 5, only Balerion lived to see the conquest. 170 years later, with a frightened child clinging to his back instead of a rider, he turned east, towards something he remembered, towards something he must have thought was still there. Imagine what he found instead. The sky above the 14 fires is choked with ash that never settles. The stone is split again, the cracks glowing red from below. The towers of the Dragon Lords lean half-melted into ground that still moves under them. And somewhere in that silence, beneath the heat, beneath the ruin, something has been alive the whole time. Balerion was not a creature you could kill by accident. He had taken Quicksilver, a dragon nearly his peer, and finished her in a single pass. So whatever met him in the cracked black bones of Valyria was not lesser. It was not stumbled upon. It was waiting. We don't know what he fought, but we do know what it had to be. Start with the wound, 9 feet down the left side. Not a burn, not a slash from another dragon's claws. Those leave parallel rakes, 3 or 4 together. This was a single drive. 1 point, driven in, drawn long. Small dragons don't leave wounds like that. Not claws, not teeth. That wound was driven. Something struck him once, deep, and dragged itself free while he was still moving. That is not a duel. That is a creature trying to hold on to something bigger than it. So whatever hit him had a horn. 1 forward thrust point. The kind of weapon a thing is born with when it spends its life getting close to creatures that can kill it from a distance. Now look at the rest. If something could wound the Black Dread and walk away, it had to meet 3 conditions. Size, first. Big enough to engage him directly. No darting bird, no swarm, no thing that bit and ran. It had to stand against him. Durability second. The half-healed scars under the fresh wound prove it. This wasn't one fight, it was several. Whatever met Balerion in those ruins met him more than once, and was still there to meet him the next time. And aggression third. The willingness to drive a horn into a creature every Westerosi native in their right mind feared with their whole soul. Not for territory, not for food, just because that is what it does. Most dragons fail one of those. This one didn't. The closest thing we can picture is something like this, a leaner shape than Balerion. Built to fight at close range. Plating layered over plating, cracked and regrown over wounds that never set right. Wings torn in places, asymmetrical, forced through the air rather than glided across it. A forward horn that matches the puncture exactly. Teeth that don't bite to kill, teeth that bite to hold. Not a dragon raised by Valyrians, a dragon that outlived them. It would not have flown at him, it would have watched, and then, in silence, it would have taken the largest dragon ever born to the ground. So you might think then that Balerion stumbled into a feral dragon, some wild beast left to run loose in the ruins, smaller. Lucky once, but the wounds are wrong for that. Wild dragons don't leave layered scars on the largest creature in the world. Wild dragons either kill or die. They don't draw blood, pull back, watch the bigger thing limp away, and let it leave. This one let him leave. That is the part of Septon Barth's account no one wants to read out loud. Balerion did not escape Valyria. Balerion was released from it. Whatever fought him long enough to teach him, long enough to wound him again and again, on different days, while the girl on his back rotted from the inside out with creatures that did not exist anywhere else in the world. And then, when it had made its point, it let the largest dragon ever born crawl back across the sea with a dying child and a story. A warning shaped like a scar, because Balerion was the strongest dragon Westeros ever knew. But Westeros was never the place where the strongest dragons lived. Arya died screaming on a Maester's table. Septon Barth and Grand Maester Bennifer told the court she had perished of fever, and never wrote down what they saw crawl out of her in the ice bath. Jaehaerys, the wisest king the Targaryens ever produced, forbade any ship that had passed through the smoking sea from ever making port in his kingdom again. He sent no more expeditions east. He stopped asking where Balerion had been. He didn't need to. The Black Dread never flew east of Dragonstone again. He was led down into the dragon pit, the first dragon ever housed there, and grew slow and heavy in the dark. When Prince Viserys claimed him at the end, he could barely take to the air. He died in his sleep at over 200 years old, of nothing in particular. The wound on his left side closed, but the scars under it never faded, and whatever put them there is still in those ruins, still waiting, still older than him, and if that's what wounded Balerion, then it wasn't the strongest thing in Valyria. It was just the one he found. I'm your maester at the Black Dread. It's best you just let Valyria rest in peace, unless you want an adventure. Brought to you by theblackdread.com. You can explore for free, but for $1.99 a month, you join the inner circle with exclusive shorts, less than a late-night impulse buy. Join us at theblackdread.com.